Believe nothing you hear and half of what you see is a quote generally attributed to Edgar Allan Poe. But it fits like a glove to describe this film. I'd even go as far as to say that it's the perfect explanation for this film. Spoilers ahead. Memento is one of those movies you can even tell your friends about it and it wouldn't count as being a spoiler. Chances are you're gonna be as confused explaining the film as your friends will be watching it. The movie is about this guy who has short-term memory loss and has to find his wife's killer. So how do you do an investigation about someone you don't know while you can't remember new things? That's what Memento tries to do. Nolan is notorious for being a brilliant screenwriter. His scripts are pretty much perfect when it comes to structure. The thing is, when someone is extremely good at something, they tend to take it as far as they possibly can to test themselves. I believe this is the case. The story is non-linear, the narrator is unreliable. How do you even make a coherent story like that? I'm pretty sure that the whole confusing nature of the film is precisely to make us understand even more the protagonist. At first, we feel better than him, since we can remember details short term. Later, it starts getting more confusing. Now we think we know what's going on. Eventually, we realize that even if we kinda know some things, we mostly don't know a lot. That's what our protagonist feels. He knows some elements and aspects of his life. It's hard to differentiate from what's real and from what's not. He can sort of tell by looking into their faces, but it's still not fully reliable. He takes pictures that are objective, but without the notes, they are worthless. And the notes can't be fully trusted either. As we know, he ends up making a note just to keep his life with a purpose. If he didn't have to find the killer, he would have nothing. So, what is my take on the film? What do I think is going on? Okay, first I must say that this is my interpretation. Yours is as good as mine. I believe that Natalie was using him. The cop did say some things that were true, but he used him anyway too. What about Sammy? This is where it gets incredibly confusing. I think some of the experiences of Sammy were the same as Lenny. He even says so himself. That's why he tattooed "Remember Sammy Jenkins." Which parts were his and which were Sammy's? That's hard to tell. We know that the narrator is unreliable since it's Lenny and his brain is unreliable. We know his pictures are unreliable because he can make stuff up to gaslight himself into doing something. Perhaps we have to apply Occam's razor. The easiest answer is probably the right one. Chances are that Lenny found the guy and kept going anyway. The only picture Lenny has is a picture someone else took, meaning there had to be at least two in the same place. Lenny and someone. Is that someone the cop? Hard to tell, but let's say it was. But why did the cop not tell Lenny his real name? Maybe he didn't want to become a target for Lenny? Maybe he didn't kill the real guy, but the cop made him believe that, and it was probably some random lowlife. The key to solve most of this mess is, where did Leonard get the name John G or James G? And we never get that answer. Either way, it's fascinating to have a movie make you feel very much like the protagonist, utterly confused. The more times that you watch it, the more different you'll see the film. There's no one solid interpretation for this film. What we know is that memory cannot be trusted. Either way, it's fascinating to have a movie make you feel very much like the protagonist, utterly confused. The more times that you watch it, the more different you'll see the movie. There's no one solid interpretation for the film. What we know is that memory cannot be trusted, but neither can some of our personal facts. How can we be so sure something is a fact if we keep forgetting stuff? That's where the brilliance of Memento lies. The direction is great. It communicates perfectly what the screenplay intended. The writing is superior. This is the kind of movie that you can get to analyze for weeks in a screenwriting class. Is it headache-inducing? Yeah, kinda. Is it expertly written? Totally. The acting is superb. Guy Pearce is excellent. The way he conveys this sense of being lost is great. In terms of rewatchability, it's around 97% rewatchable. Mostly because you kinda have to rewatch it to get a decent amount of the dynamics flushed out. If you're into thrillers and mysteries, this one is a singular addition to those categories. It's unlike many things we get to experience. So, what's your personal take on Memento? As always, thank you for watching. See you next time.